Before I start, I'd like to once again thank all of our sponsors without whom this would not have been possible. Microsoft Research, Yebi.com, the Omidyar Network in India, Kalanre, Ang India Technologies, SarkariNaukri.com, eRegNow, Avignata, Text 100, the Digital Signage Network, Security Suki, Kori, Samrat Pencils, Panache, and the University of Bombay for allowing us the use of their wonderful Convocation Hall. Our first speaker for the morning is Barry Newstead. Barry is the Chief Global Development Officer for the Wikimedia Foundation. Barry's beat has, over the last couple of years, included India, and he has been here often, and the Wikipedia community in India is fortunate to call him a friend and someone that we've been able to call on from time to time for advice. We will hear from Barry, and the title of his talk is Our Quest, Every Single Human Being. I'm not sure whether he counted how many we have in India, but it's quite a few.
Good morning. How is everybody? Good? Tired? Warm? Well, it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak with you all. As Gautam said, it's been my pleasure to have spent a fair amount of time in India over the last year and a half as we as a community have just thought about the growth of our community and our projects here in India. And so I think this is my 5th trip in a little over a year. And it's been a real pleasure, really enjoyable to be with you all. And I'm really thrilled that we managed to have this conference. Because I think it was something that when, I think even on my very first trip, a lot of folks said, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could bring the Indian community together to share our experiences and share our passions for Wikimedia, for Wikipedia and our projects, other projects, and to set a course forward. So what I'm going to do this morning is talk a little bit about our quest. Obviously, I think everybody here, most of you here would know what our vision is. It's written out front. A quote from Jimmy Wales is written out front on the signboard. And what I want to do is do a couple things in talking about the quest. I first want to just remind everybody, and most of you probably are familiar with this, but I want to remind everybody what our projects are all about. Because I think we don't actually talk very much about the principles and the values of the Wikimedia movement and of why all of you or many of you contribute your time. And each person probably has their own reasons. But I wanted to share with you some of the broad principles that I think underlie Wikimedia and Wikipedia. So that's the first thing I want to do. The second thing I want to do is I want to review where we are as a movement around the achievement of our vision. You know, so we are clearly on this quest, as I call it, and it's always good once in a while to say, how far have we come, and how far do we have to go still? So I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are, share some data from recent months. And then third, I'm going to talk about the things that I think we need to do and we need to do together, and how we advance the quest to the next stage in our collective development as a community, with a real focus here on India. And I have to say, I got feedback from folks saying, talk about what it means in India, and other people said, talk about what it means globally. The good news actually is pretty much the same thing. As Gautam said, if we want to reach every single human being, there are a lot of them here in India, and so and a lot of the people who we do not yet reach are in this country and are in this region. And so a lot of the things that we have as priorities are priorities so that we can really achieve our vision here in India. And if we do it here in India, I think we will do it around the world. So before I launch in, I wanted to say a brief word about the presentation. And that is, all of the pictures you're about to see are pictures from Wikimedia Commons. How many people do not know what Wikimedia Commons is? Okay, a couple. So Wikimedia Commons is our repository of media files. And there are, I think, currently over 6 million files. And I'll talk in a minute about how we are an open project. But all these pictures, gorgeous pictures, many pictures from here in India, are available to be freely used on Wikimedia Commons. And so every picture in this presentation is from Wikimedia Commons. Some of the pictures here were taken by members of the audience. So be prepared for those of you who upload to see your own work. And some of you actually may appear in some of the pictures as well. So hopefully we'll make it a very inclusive discussion. So actually this is one of my favorite pictures in all of Wikimedia Commons. It's the Aurora Borealis, and it was actually taken by a U.S. Air Force, by the United States Air Force, and it's a public domain resource that has found its way into Wikimedia Commons. I think we really need to remind ourselves that you have created a gift for humanity. You know, it's all well and good to say Wikipedia is useful here, or useful there, but it's actually truly a gift, and it's more than just a gift that is a gift that you receive once. It's a gift that people receive daily, weekly, monthly, and actually the gift gets better and better every single day. Wikipedia, the Wikimedia projects are better today than they were yesterday. They're more useful to the world than they were yesterday. They are tracking history. And it's just critical that we remind ourselves that that's really what you all have given to humanity. And it's a limitless gift. It's a gift that has no boundaries. It is a gift that is non-exclusive, that I can enjoy the gift just as much as you can enjoy the gift. And that's really a powerful thing. And it's so critical that we make that gift available to as many people as possible. And that's obviously continues to be our challenge. But just remind ourselves and actually congratulate yourselves for the gift you've given to humanity. It's also an incredible demonstration of people power, of the, you know, you want to say average, but obviously Wikipedians are not average in any way. But they're average in some ways as well. And you know, all of us here, we're just, you know, to some degree, regular people with a passion. But that power of, you know, the many small contributions. And I constantly say that, you know, yes, there are people here who make massive contributions to our projects. I mean, dedicate huge amounts of their time and energy and passion to the projects. But there are also people here who make a really small contribution. And each one counts to build what is this gift. And it's really a great demonstration of you know, the potential for good of humanity. We had a talk yesterday about neutral point of view from somebody I understand who's not a very neutral media personality. And actually, it was not many of you I think were in the audience, but the gentleman who talked yesterday was I think my understanding is pretty much a good modern day television pundit who brings position A and position B to the table, and they argue back and forth about their own positions, whether it's India versus Pakistan, whether it's, you know, corrupt practices or not, or rich versus poor. And all they do is they fight back and forth. And generally, facts, data, you know, civil discourse get thrown out the window. And that is, in many cases, the kind of thing that the kind of information and media that is available to people today. And it's really vital that, you know, what we do is we really seek this neutral point of view. We seek to operate based on verifiable facts. We seek to reconcile and explain differences in a thoughtful fashion so that people can draw their own conclusions based on the best available information. That's what we're seeking to do. And ultimately that's a journey towards the higher truth. It's not good enough to just stop and say, I believe X, and therefore I'm just going to move forward on that track. It's much more valuable and important to seek to understand things thoroughly and as much as possible without bias. I'd like to say one more thing about the neutral point of view comment, is that we achieve neutral point of view not through our individual neutrality necessarily. We achieve it through our collective neutrality. And it's really important that I see people mistaking at times this idea that we're all sort of neutral. Where we get to neutrality actually is because many of us engage on an issue and we debate and discuss it on talk pages for years to reach that higher goal. And so it's a really important element. Critical value. So for those free and open source folks, I have modified your free as in beer, free as in speech mantra. I apologize. But to be honest, free as in beer does not work in every part of the world. And so when I'm in the Middle East, free as in beer doesn't work so well. Actually, I think it doesn't work across all groups within India. So I think free as in ice cream is actually a pretty good alternative. I think everybody loves ice cream. You don't have to be a certain age to enjoy ice cream. And I think you can appreciate what free as in ice cream means as folks talk about it as free as in beer. Also a reminder, and I talk to a lot of audiences, there's no ads on Wikipedia. It's an ad-free experience on the web. It's unique in that regard. And we don't talk about it very much except for around fundraising time. But it's really valuable to say, again, the internet can offer something that's free and something that isn't driven by advertising and flashy signs and in particular ads about Viagra or other sort of sexual enhancements, if you will. We're also obviously even more importantly, we do live and breathe the freedom of speech, and obviously Jimmy's comments on Friday, underlie that in his discussions about the map. But the fact that I can use these photographs without having to worry about whose rights am I infringing, or who should I have to pay in order to use it. I can modify the photograph. I can modify the resource. I can use it as I see fit. With only very limited restrictions on that. That's a really vital thing. And it's a vital thing also because, again, we see all around us constant efforts by folks to close the internet, to make the internet less free, to put everything behind paywalls. And I think we are an important beacon for what the internet could and should be. And more and more we're having to step out and state that. For the longest time, I think the Wikimedia movement has spoken with its efforts, spoken with its activities. But when you see legislation that seeks to limit freedoms on the internet, limit access, close down copyright further, we're having to now become more of an activist movement to ensure that those freedoms are protected, both to protect our projects, but also to protect the potential of future projects down the road that haven't even been conceived, that may only be conceived and developed in an environment of a free and open internet. And for me personally, it's really about, it's about freedom in the fact of individual freedom. And I believe individual freedom really, is driven by your access to knowledge. I mean, these young girls, young children all around the world, if they can have access to knowledge, nothing can stop them. Poor teachers, lack of facilities, lack of other resources can be overcome by the access to knowledge and by the access to the potential to give oneself an education. And that's really, really central to me of why I'm focused on this work, and I think why others. And so it's really important we think about the generational impact of our work. So how are we doing on our quest? By the way, I love this photo as well. Like a great photo of Mount Everest. I bet many of these photos might cost a fortune to get access to, but again, freely available on Wikimedia Commons. So how are we doing? Apologize, these slides aren't the most beautiful things in the world. So we're doing unbelievably well. 450 million unique visitors in September 2011. Greater than 10% growth, actually, month over month. And what is really neat, if you can see on these bars, is the blue is us. And the orange is the rest of the internet as captured by Comscore. And in every region of the world, we are growing faster than the internet as a whole, which means more people are coming to our sites than just the natural growth. We are attracting more people to our projects. It's not just the fact that the internet's growing. And really critically, we are growing extremely fast in the highest growing regions of the world. China, India, the rest of Asia Pacific, Latin America, the Middle East and Africa. Even Japan, where the internet's not growing at all, we're growing quite aggressively and well. So really, really fantastic news in terms of the usefulness of our projects to an ever larger part of the world. And that's something we should all feel great about. I think the other point here I'll get to in a minute is clearly the future growth of the internet is here. It's in Asia Pacific, it's in Africa, it's in the Middle East, it's in Latin America. And so we also obviously make sure that we, in order to sustain this growth, that we are strong in these parts of the world. Just very briefly, 1/3 of the global unique visitors on the internet come to Wikimedia's sites every month. So 1 in 3 people around the world. It's a powerful story. Again, our opportunity for growth is in this part of the world in particular. We're pretty far behind in China, but as you saw on the previous slide, we're growing dramatically in China, and that's incredible given the limits on our accessibility in China, and the fact that there are Chinese companies who basically, have attempted to rip off our content and build their own encyclopedias to compete with us. And it's another great testament to the fact that people want and need our projects. Even when there are alternative encyclopedias out there, they're not satisfied with those models. They like the way in which our projects are built, run, and the kind of information and knowledge they can get access to. So the other good news is we are very, very close to 20 million articles. And I'm going to talk in a minute about the plateau of our editing community. But look at this line. There's no kinks in that line. That line is not getting, obviously it'd be nice if it was kinking upwards, but it's growing consistently. And so the members of our community are incredibly productive at continuing to grow our article base. And I think anecdotally, grow our article base with quality. It's not just, more bots running and creating more stubs. It's really, quality articles. Sorry, the other lines are, I think they're the major projects. So this is the total. The green line is English and, it's at the bottom. English, German, French, and Italian, which are the biggest projects in terms of articles. And all this data, by the way, is available at stats.wikimedia.org. Pretty sure it's Wikimedia, not Wikipedia. So, I don't know how well you can see this, but I thought this was a really cool piece of analysis done by folks at Oxford, Mark and Bernie. And I think it probably comes out. Can you guys see the kind of orange and yellow in the back? Okay. So these guys looked at all the geotagged articles in English Wikipedia, and I was really positively surprised by this analysis. Obviously, there's a lot of black, but in a lot of the black areas, there aren't that many people living there. So, for example, Siberia, not that many people. The Amazon jungle, not that many people. The Sahara Desert, not that many people. And so when you actually look at it, you say, wow, there's actually a lot of orange, which is, larger articles, geotagged articles, in a lot of the world, a lot of where the world lives. It's not that we are just covering the United States, which we are covering extremely well, and Western Europe. Look at India. There's a lot of really good coverage within English Wikipedia, which is, actually surprised me in a positive way. Because I always worry that, English Wikipedia was skewed towards American and British kind of subjects. But actually, we're doing a much better job of kind of creating a truly global project in English Wikipedia. And many of you are a core reason why that's happening. Of course, we aren't doing quite as well when we take some of the other large global languages. And this is a list of all the languages aside from English that have over 200 million speakers in the world. Chinese, Hindi, Arabic, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, Indonesian, Bahasa Indonesia, and Bengali and French. And clearly the European languages, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian, are the largest on this list. And Hindi and Bengali are the lowest on this list. And this is really where our challenge lies now. Massive numbers of people who do not speak English, who do not have access to our other projects. Providing them with access will provide us with massive new potential contributors and new potential readers. And that's, I think, one of our challenges ahead. I think we should also be concerned about the decline in our editing community. It's declining very slowly. And I think our great concern is that I don't know if you know the story of the boiling frog, right? You increase the temperature slowly and suddenly the frog is boiling and died, right? We're actually having this very slow decline in our community, mostly in the large project communities. And this is largely driven by this red line. And the red line is the retention of editors in our community after 1 year. So over time, what's happened is we used to retain somewhere around, in the early years, a third of editors would stick around for at least 1 year and beyond. Over the last, between 2005 and 2008, that dropped substantially. Whereas now only 1 in 10 editors, people who contribute to Wikipedia, stick around for a year. That puts a tremendous burden on the existing community that's there, and that doesn't provide us an engine for regenerating our projects. And as Jimmy said on Friday, that may not be a great concern for an English or a German Wikipedia, but it's a grave concern for a Hindi Wikipedia or a Bengali Wikipedia or a Tamil Wikipedia. Because those projects, as we'll see in a minute, are tiny. And if we aren't able to bring new editors into those projects, we will never grow those projects. And that is really the fundamental method by which we operate. So we need to be concerned about this, and we need to find solutions to this. And as I said, for Indic language projects here, this is the number of active editors in the largest Indic language projects. Only Tamil and, we only have 2 projects with over 80 editors. And those are you are really, really dedicated editors. You're really, really working hard. You're growing the project successfully. But we have to find more of you. In a country of over 1 billion people, we have to be able to find ways to reach out and bring new people to our community, welcome them, develop them, train them, encourage them, support them. And as we see these numbers go up, we will see the article count go up, and more importantly, we'll see the quality of the articles go up. And then we'll really, really advance our quest. So how do we realize this? So, this photo, some of you may have been there. It was taken last September here in Mumbai, actually in Bandra at the Coffee Bean. I've never bought more cappuccinos in my life. I bought 44 cappuccinos that night. We actually thought we would have about 10 or 15 people show up to the first meetup here in Mumbai. We had over 40. And what this group came together to do was to start to build a community here in Mumbai. And frankly, from that start, through the last year, that group coalesced sufficiently, not everybody who was in the room, but a group of them coalesced sufficiently to run a really great 10th anniversary program here last January. And then after that said, we can do even more. And we can have a WikiConference here in India based in Mumbai. So I'd like you guys to give all that group a round of applause. So it's really, fundamentally, it's about building a community. It's about bringing people together in your localities, sometimes online, to really start to feel like everybody's a part of something bigger than what they're doing. And once you become a part of that, it goes back to the earlier point. We can demonstrate what the power of people is to do it. You know, none of the folks here had ever organized anything close to this kind of conference, but they did it together, and they did it obviously with the broader India community coming together as well. I said this a moment ago, a member of the audience doing a Wiki Academy, and it's his own photo. It's Arjuna there in the front. We really need to continue to welcome and support newcomers. We can't become closed to them. We can't push them off when they make mistakes. We really need to find that, and that's vitally important here in India. You know, we really need to be able to explain our projects to them, make them accessible, and make people welcome to them. People of all walks, you know, not just tech geeks, you know, not just students, but people from across the spectrum. Whoops. Hello? Oh, that's how we're going to build these projects. And people like Arjuna and members of the India chapter and other members of the community have gone and taken their time to talk about Wikipedia, to explain it, to explain the policies, to explain the principles, to explain the values, to get more people to be engaged. And we've seen where there's been the most concentrated effort on that front within this country, we've seen those communities grow. Tamil, Malayalam, those are projects where dedicated folks, a group of people have actively sought new people to come join their community, help them join, and that's why they're upwards, you know, of 50, 70, 80, and growing communities. So we really need to make that happen. We need to figure out how to engage students as readers and contributors. You know, we at the foundation team is really committed to that. We've got a lot to learn about how to work with students in India, in the Indian education system. We really believe that that's the future of our projects, is to bring folks in to marry education and people who are acquiring knowledge and generating knowledge with our projects here in this country. We need to get, and I think this is one of the more exciting opportunities I'd love to see progress on in the next year, is we can start to get our knowledge resources in the hands of students. There's a lot of folks that are passionate about offline Wikipedia. There's government initiatives here in India to get computers and resources into classrooms. And many of those classrooms, they're going to get the computer, but there's going to be nothing on the computer of value. If Wikipedia is on the computer, it immediately becomes a valuable resource. And we don't have to have massive projects to do that. We need 5,000 good articles in a language to have a really great educational resources. And that's a challenge I'd like us all to take away, you know, over the next year, is in how many languages can we create a really good 5,000 or 1,000 even, 1,000 article offline Wikipedia, and how many places can we get that to? Because that's how we start to have the impact on those students, and frankly have students growing up knowing that that Wikipedia is there and that they can contribute to it. Beautiful photo of the University of Mumbai Library. I actually couldn't find that great a photo of Convocation Hall, but I presume that's going to change pretty quickly. We can explore different ways and different partnerships with institutions. Members of the community here have spent time at the Prince of Wales Museum. I know there were conversations about galleries, libraries, archives, and museums yesterday. Let's think about different ways to work with different kinds of institutions and have them contribute their collective knowledge to our projects. So we need to bring MediaWiki in line with 2011 user interactivity, user experience expectations. This is a huge priority of the Wikimedia Foundation at the moment. Our engineering team, who's across town, having a hackathon of their own, are really focused on how do we make our software much more accessible, easier to use. How do we make it, you know, simple to understand what it looks like to edit? How do we create a visual editing tool? How do we deal with problems associated with, you know, Indic languages, Indic language scripts, English, keyboards, search? These are all problems that we are starting to tackle, and we know that if we are able to tackle these problems, we'll open up a whole range, open up our projects to a whole new range of people around the world. So that's something to really to watch out for. Cool and Howie were just telling me that they've been blown away by the number of people here who've come out to the hackathon and want to actually join in the community. And again, the software side of Wikimedia, MediaWiki, is a free and open source software project. It's built by community as well as staff. And so a really important priority, and I think that'll make a huge difference as we move forward. We need to, and this is something that our team is really focused on as well, is we really need to nail the mobile web experience. This lady, I'm not sure she's ever really been on a desktop or a laptop computer, but she's standing there with an iPhone. So she has access to the internet now. She's got a keyboard. That keyboard in the newer versions of the iPhone operating system may actually be accessible in her own native tongue. So we really need to figure out, how do we reach all these people who may never touch a keyboard in the old sense? And so how do we bring them in, how do we obviously make our projects accessible to them, but actually how do we enable them to contribute back? I have no idea what she is taking a photograph of, but it may be a beautiful photograph that should be in Wikimedia Commons. How can she get that photograph into Wikimedia Commons and make it accessible? This is one of our great challenges, and if we don't nail mobile, we will never achieve our quests. So that's why we're so focused on it. We need to try experiments. Our projects are innovative in their nature. We need to be willing to try things. People have created new projects within Wikipedia. People have created new extensions. People have created new policies, new everything. I mean, there's just a huge tradition of innovation and experimentation in our projects. I would guess that if we looked at all the innovations that community members have tried over time, most have failed. Most live in obscurity. But that's a great thing, because obviously just one in 100, 1 in 10 innovation that really pushes our projects forward can make a huge difference. And we have to remember, we have 5 pillars. There is a 5th pillar about ignoring the rules occasionally. Sometimes we need to ignore the rules or change the rules so we can open up new opportunities for our work. And I'd encourage you guys as members of the community to do that. We're going to do that in some of our work. We're going to fail miserably in some of our work. We're going to get criticized for it. But we think that's an important part of how we actually take our projects to the next level of impact around the world. And obviously, when we fail, we need to learn. And when we learn, we'll then, hopefully have a better chance of succeeding the next time around. And I'll just say in closing, some of you are in this photo, I'll note, and one of you took this photo. We can do it here in India. I think that, this conference, a year ago there was no way felt like we could pull off this conference. In fact, we talked about it with the chapter of trying to do it in January, and we just knew that we weren't ready, but we are now. And I think that the only way that the Wikimedia projects will grow and achieve our mission and finish the quest, though I don't think we'll ever finish, is remaining an open, mission-driven community, a community that's driven by volunteer effort, that is supported in a small way by the staff that work here in India and that work around the world. But fundamentally, it's about community. It's about people like you, many others, people who aren't in the room today, coming together and saying, we can do this, and we can live these values, and we can contribute to the mission, and we can share this amazing gift for humanity with everybody. Thank you. So I am happy to take any questions from the audience. I don't promise answers, but I'm happy to have questions. I don't know how much time we have, but 10 minutes. Oh, question right here. There we go. I knew if we waited long enough, somebody would.
See, as we all know, can you hear me? The driving engine of Steve Jobs was typography and calligraphy of the Roman script. When we are handling Indian languages, what is going to be the approach towards the design and typography of various languages? Typography.
Of the scripts? So, yeah, I mean, it's something that a lot of community members have been working pretty hard on for a number of years. It's been a challenge. And actually, a across town, that's something they're working on today, is, the foundation has created a localization team, which has really worked on how do we start to work on some of these problems. They are talking about designs of new scripts, of new fonts, and community members have worked on different solutions to this problem. So again, it's another problem that we just need to tackle head on, and do it in a way where the foundation has put some resources behind it, but really we want to work with the community here who knows the issues much more deeply than we do to find solutions. But there are solutions out there, and we want them to be free and open solutions, by the way, so that we don't only benefit from these solutions, but other projects, other organizations, other folks on the internet can benefit from them as well.
Morning, sir. I come from the Middle East, and I'm curious to know if the challenges faced by the Wikimedia chapter there are similar, or if you face different challenges. And in the Middle East.
I mean, the Middle East is another area that we're spending a lot of, we're very interested in. I think some of the challenges are similar. I mean, some of the challenges with Arabic scripts, for example, is the question, are challenges there. We want to have a larger community in Arabic, though we do have quite a bit. I mean, the Arabic community is quite a bit bigger than most of the Indic language communities. But the community is really disparate. I mean, in some ways it's similar in that the community in the Arabic world is spread over, 20 countries. But obviously India is a massive country at the same time. So there is kind of some of the challenges of distance. They have challenges of having one language which is spoken differently and often written differently to some degree in different places. They have a lot of dialect challenges. They have language challenges of the fact that different parts of the Arabic world have different words for the same thing. So I mean, they have their own challenges. They have some of the similar challenges, and they have some of their own challenges. They also have challenges with very closed internets in some of the countries. We've been banned on and off in Syria. A lot of the countries in the Middle East run proxy walls and filter what comes in and out of the country. So they do have those challenges as well. They also have challenges at times with neutrality. Sometimes it's hard in that part of the world to take neutral points of view and reflect neutral points of view in some of the articles, because there's a lot of political pressure that's borne to bear on them. But having said that, they also have tremendous opportunities there, as we do here, and we have an incredibly passionate group. I mean, I met with a Syrian who lives in Syria and is in the middle of massive turmoil, and he continues to edit Wikipedia, on an hourly basis, and sometimes to potential risk to himself. And we need to protect that and support people like that. So it's a big priority and a huge opportunity with its own challenges.
You were talking about students' contribution. I'm just commenting on that because I represent IIT Delhi alumni, IIT Delhi Institute of Technology. Yeah. When I go back to Delhi, I'll explore the possibility of engaging IIT Delhi students into your project. I'll speak to the director. I'll explore. I'm not promising, but then I'll explore this. If it works out, it would be great, because over the last 3 days, I'm seeing the immense possibility of Wikipedia towards human development, towards development of the countryman, the worldwide citizen, connecting them as a family. So I just wanted to express this. Yeah,
I mean, that's great. I mean, we obviously, I will say that, working formally with institutions has been, we've done a pilot here. It's been really challenging. We've learned a lot. We want to, learn those lessons and make sure we design it better. But in the end, if you talk to 5 students and 3 of them or 2 of them start editing Wikipedia, that's growing our community, with talented folks. And so, we can create grand programs, but we can also do it the way that it's been done, which is by word of mouth and by people sharing their passions. And you'll talk to an audience and you may say that 50 of them look at you with a blank face, but within there maybe 5 catch the spark, and those 5 people can make a huge difference.
Hello, sir. I am from the disability sector. Actually, I want to know whether Wikimedia has any policy on accessibility issues. Have you got any agenda to make everything? Definitely, we are concerned for all the languages, but I don't know, I'm a visually impaired person, and for the Wikipedia accessibility, I cannot access, so many pictures are there with these articles and like that, but I don't know what articles are there. So, and another again, there are certain browsers, text-based browsers, like links like that. So, there are certain problems with browsing with such browsers, which are quite comfortable for the visually impaired. So, is there any policy on the part of the Wikimedia Foundation to address this issue of accessibility?
Yeah, it's a great and important question. I mean, we are clearly a resource-limited institution, and I will say I think the best work on accessibility that's been done in our movement has been done by community volunteers who've worked on solutions, whether it be text-to-speech solutions. I mean, we even have volunteers who will record an audio file of articles. They'll just sit down and read the article and then make it accessible in that way. I mean, I'll say that we have not had a systematic. We do not have systematic solutions. I think the first thing we need to do, at least, is to start to surface those needs, and then think about which ones can be solved by community action, which one can be solved by partner organizations who work on accessibility on the internet, and then which ones can be built into the way in which we do our work and we do our software development, and we set our priorities to ensure that those things do come to the right level of priority. And as you say, we make it accessible, truly accessible. And I remember hearing a long time ago that people said, if you're able to make your sites accessible, you'll actually make them much more usable, much more friendly, and much more you improve the experience dramatically for everybody because of some of the principles that underlie, good accessibility design. So I think that's pretty much all. As Gautam said, I'm going to be around for the rest of the day, and look forward to interacting with you all. And thank you again for all you do and contribute to the Wikimedia movement.